It's Miss Sarah, and I'm reading Chapter 9, Beware the Envious. A department store without a perfume counter or racks of clothes or kiosks filled with purses or dressing rooms or dividing walls or wandering customers seemed very large and very empty, and a space that any 12-year-old scientist would instinctively want to run wild through. That's exactly what John did. He raced through Teresa's laboratory in one big circle, laughing and yelling just to hear his own voice echo. "This is amazing!" he screamed. Teresa walked through the space slowly, as if she were stepping into a dream. She wouldn't have thought or even hoped that this could happen to her, to be given a laboratory big enough to build whatever she wanted, anything at all. She put down her spider, stretched her arms out wide, and slowly spun around. But did Dr. Flax not think she would need additional supplies, tools, and maybe some spare parts? She supposed she could bring in scrap from her Uncle Robert's auto repair shop. And she didn't mind using her own portable arc welding kit, but couldn't he have at least provided her a table to work on? But her question was soon answered when John ran down the escalator to the first floor. "Hey, you guys, you've got to see this." Teresa followed. As she walked down to the lower level, a joy began to grow in her, a joy very much like the excitement she felt walking down the stairs many past Christmas mornings, knowing that magnificent mechanical toys had magically appeared in the night and now lay waiting for her, lovingly displayed in a semicircle on the living room floor for her to find and unwrap and tinker with all day. It was a joy big enough to let her forget about the black hole inside her, at least for a while. As she moved off the last step of the escalator, she saw an incredible sight spread before her, and the growing joy filled her all the way up. The entire first floor of her lab was a robot builder's paradise. A row of brand new torches of all sizes for soldering, brazing, and welding lay in a neat row before her. Behind them, there were 3D printing machines of all sizes, rods and sheets of aluminum, and every possible joint and hinge and hook. There were electric lights, a variety of seats and steering wheels, and a toolbox so big it had wheels and an engine of its own. She'd never seen such a thing, a toolbox that could be driven like a truck. There were stacks of boxes and crates of car parts, truck parts, boat parts, jet ski parts, and even snowmobile parts, even though it hadn't snowed in South Carolina for 5 years. There were chains and nets and ropes and appliances she couldn't even identify. There was a forklift, too, which required a license to operate, a license she didn't have. But there it was for her to use anyway. There were computers, lots of computers, every kind Teresa had heard of, and many she had not, laptops and desktops, spare circuit boards, extra microprocessors, and an electronic whiteboard like John and Ashley's. She could only imagine how many kinds of software were available to help her design whatever she liked. She might have stood there all day admiring if Zachary didn't groan from impatience. "Let me tell you your lock combination," he said. "I have far more important things than babysitting awaiting me." Teresa cleared her mind. She certainly didn't want to forget the combination, but she didn't want to have to ask for it twice, like Ashley. Zachary leaned down, cupped his hand to her ear, and whispered it quickly and impatiently. Boykin Spaniel, loggerhead sea turtle, blue crab, blue crab, blue crab, red-tailed hawk, great egret. It was a long password, but the 3 blue crabs in the middle would make it easier to remember. And with her favorite dog at the beginning and a beautiful egret at the end, she knew she had it. She repeated it to herself just to make sure as she walked in circles around her laboratory. Her laboratory. It was so big, almost too big. She made herself dizzy taking it all in. But even while she was so ecstatic, so thrilled to have a space of her own with all the welding and designing tools she'll ever need, she couldn't ignore the guilt she felt. She could feel Ashley's energy behind her. She didn't dare look, but she knew Ashley was standing at the top of the escalator, looking down at her, radiating envy and frustration and downright anger. Finally, Teresa couldn't ignore her any longer. She turned around to face her. "It's not fair," Ashley growled between her teeth. "You're not satisfied with your lab?" Zachary asked with a bit of mockery. Ashley didn't answer. "Dr. Flax wanted you to have the very best in accommodations, Miss Dean. If you feel that you have been cheated in any way, I will consider it my duty to tell him." Ashley remained silent. It was obvious to all of them that Zachary would very much enjoy telling his uncle that she was not grateful for his efforts. But Ashley would not behave so improperly. "No," she finally said, looking down at her feet and straightening her polka dot dress. "I like my lab very much. I will get to work right away." Then she walked out of Teresa's laboratory and back to her own. Teresa wanted to chase after her. She almost said, "Hey, if you would like to trade laboratories, we can." Almost, but she did not, because she realized Ashley might just take her up on it. "Someone is apparently quite jealous," Zachary said as he began to leave. "Why?" Teresa asked. "Her lab is just as cool. Even if it's not as big, hers has tons of aquariums and algae and a big clay oven. She even has a waterfall and real-life fish." Zachary chuckled softly. "Some cannot stand to take second place, no matter how great their own rewards," he said. "Beware the envious, Miss Brown. They think they have to destroy your world before they can create their own." Zachary walked slowly away, and there Teresa was with a whole laboratory to create whatever she wanted and a whole summer to do it. She felt very anxious at that moment, suddenly realizing she was supposed to, expected to, do something fantastic and world-changing and bigger than anything she had done before. She felt very alone until she realized that John had returned to the upper level to run in more circles. "Echo! Echo! Echo!" he yelled as he flew. "We are the greatest scientists in the world. No one can stop us. Flax Industries is amazing!"